Hang on, just let me move a little bit. Yeah. Okay, good morning everyone. Selamat pagi. Terima kasih untuk Pycon Indonesia yang sudah menggunakan saya ke konferensi ini. Nanti ya. Saya merasa sangat terhormat dan Indonesia selalu istimewa bagi saya. Saya pernah tinggal di Bandung selama 1 tahun. Jadi saya bisa sedikit berbicara bahasa Indonesia ya. Tapi hari ini saya akan memberikan presentasi dalam bahasa Inggris. Sorry ya. Semoga ini tidak masalah bagi kalian. Jika ada pertanyaan, silakan beritahu. Okay? Thank you, Pycon Indonesia, for inviting me here. And not to worry, non-Indonesian speaker. I'm not going to give this talk in Indonesian. I would like to, but I'm not that good enough. So for some of you who have attended Pycon Taiwan last month, you might see some of the contents I'm presenting today that looks a little similar in certain percentage. This is actually intentionally added because it's actually to give a better understanding to the topic that I'm talking about today, the psychology behind open source leadership. So my name is Georgie, and I'm currently one of the directors of the PSF board. And this year I also carry a new role as the treasurer. There are 12 of us on board, and apart from me here today, I was so surprised that everyone has been introducing us so much, feel like a VIP. So we also have Chuck. Chuck, can you stand up and just give a wave to everyone? And we have Kwon Han. Kwon Han, can you stand up? Come on. Yay! So Kwon Han actually sacrificed going to Pycon Korea to attend Pycon APAC. So we have to thank him a lot. Happening at the same time right now in Korea is a 10-year anniversary Pycon Korea. So I'm really excited to be here to share what I've learned about leadership and open source communities. So over the years, running and leading over more than 7 open source communities and organizing over 30 developer related events, because if you are talking about just events, I've been organizing events since I was like 16, so it could be more than 100. So I came across a lot of people asking me the same question. How do you lead a community? It comes over and over and over again, asking me the same question. Now, today I'm not only talking about a community, but an open source community. So what's so different between an open source community and other communities like closed source, subscription communities, or like school communities? So if we want to talk about community first, let's start from very beginning. Like ABC, we have to learn first, right? So what is a community? It's a group of people sharing common interests together within a larger society. The fun part is the moment you start interaction, the moment you start talking, you are creating a community. You don't need to speak. Babies can communicate with their actions, and they're creating their own community. If you actually watch videos or check out your own kids, if you have time other than coding, well, they are incredible. They can communicate and create their own communities among themselves. So we know for the core reason why a community is there is because there's people. We are sharing common interests and we come together. So This is how an open source community looks like if you dissect into different sections. I'm not going to cover everything in detail because that's quite a lot of things to cover. Probably I will have to get you to sit down for 2 hours if that's so. So basically, in general, we are a bunch of volunteers and peers. So though there are actually some employed staff, the majority of us are volunteers. And why are we here? Because we share a common interest. In this case, we share the common interest as JavaScript, Python. Yeah. So open source is free. So we like to share our knowledge, and most of us are here to learn. The best part about open source communities is that it's everywhere. It's global. And because it's global, we are decentralized. So there is no main CEO. So anyone who uses Python, it belongs to you. We co-own this language. You are part of the owner of this language. So what is our business model? We operate mainly through donation and sponsorships, and we support each other by improving the communities through peers. We also have open documentation, which provide transparencies where you can actually refer to anywhere on GitHub. And because we are global, we have a very, very diversified group of members around the world. So how do we function? Even though we have volunteers, we are pretty good, and we self-organized ourselves among ourselves and created a system that works among each other. Of course, there will be sometimes things that we don't understand much about each other, but we work through collaboration. And we improve through feedbacks that we get from the audience. The product of a community is people. And the success of a community is people. Without people, there is no community. In the tech industry, we're great at programming solutions, getting machines to do our job. We create tools to accommodate our lives, to make it easier. Tools to create better system, better communication. But when we are working with people, you cannot escape talking to people. You cannot escape communicating with people. So why do we volunteer? According to Google source research written in August 2023, based on a sample size of 1,108 international developers, where you can see the darker green refers to the time they use personally, and the lighter green, the professional time. Most people feel that contributing helps them to develop skill set, or they feel that it's important to them, the project, and they have genuine interest in what they are contributing. So there are also people who feel that it's good for their resume, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. And apart from that, you have the others like networking. They would like to support the community, and they would like to contribute to the open source as a good citizen. And here you can see that peer pressure actually is not a big reason. However, I kind of feel like this research is a little biased. So if you look carefully, it says select top 2 reasons. So he's actually getting the users to choose 2 reasons that is actually given to them. And I was wondering, like, is that really the real reason? So I went to dig a little deeper and pull out a few other resources, and I found out that there were 2 main reasons that was left out. One of them is learning experience. People want to have better learning experience, and that's why they contribute. And another one is the sense of fulfillment. The sense of fulfillment, you can call it a good citizen, but it kind of like different. So I give you an example of a sense of fulfillment. I got a friend who his name is Olivier, and he's one championship referee. Do you know what one championship is? So it's actually similar to UFC, like a MMA fight kind of thing. So he's a referee for this event, and doing pretty good job, and like like a superstar too, apart from all the fighters. But when I was talking to him backstage, he mentioned to me that he's also a volunteer firefighter. And he told me that the sense of fulfillment he get from serving the community is just as strong and powerful as his job. So you can see how important it is. It's not about the job. It could be about what gives him back in return when he worked for the community. So in the same research, it is also shown why developers are not contributing. So we can see here, like people say, it takes too much time. Or you say, oh, I believe that it's like, there's too many people contributing. I don't think I need to be there. And there are people who say, the community isn't inclusive. And we also have people who say that they feel like there's no code of conduct, and so they will not contribute. Or because the work did not allow them to contribute. So then you can see the one that I actually box it out, say it isn't paid, it's very low. So you can know it's not always about the money. So I pull out the 3 different surveys again, written from developernation.net in 2012, OSS 2021, Forced Contributor Survey, and the top 3 reasons why open source people want to contribute is they enjoy learning, they enjoy helping others, and they genuinely love it. And they, of course, if it's fun, they will want to join. Behind the communities, we have different categories of key players. You have people who maintain the projects, the project creators and the maintainers. You have people who create the contents like bloggers, vloggers, podcasters. You have people who translate and document all the work. You have people like me, Kwon Han, and Chuck here doing the foundation governance. And people like the Pycon APAC organizers, the event organizers. So if you are one of the people in this list, even if it's a small organizing event among your school, among your group, you are a leader. So before we move on to share how we can manage communities, there is something very important that we need to work on first. Knowing ourselves. So what do you mean by knowing ourselves? I'm not a psychologist professionally, but I used to teach, and apart from teaching my own children, I used to teach primary school students. I used to teach mentally disabled children, and used to teach in professional businesses like Philips, Reckitt, and etc. And recently managed about over 80 front-end developers and designers globally. One thing I realized in common is that if a person knows what they want, the journey they want to do and what they want to do is way, way clearer and easier. So, do you really know what your strengths are? Are you really good at what will help you, what you are really good at will actually help you excel faster and get a job done better? So in the Western culture, people are more confident in general to share what they're good at. However, in Asian culture, we are always taught to be humble, right? So we are continuously searching for perfection before we call ourselves an expert. And you might think like, oh, I need to be top 10% or even like top 5% to become an expert. But you know what? The moment you start working on a specific skill, you are an expert in that level. Think about that. So your strength is not only the skills you use to earn a living, it can also be your passion. If you know your passion, then sometimes, even if you don't have the expertise, because you're so passionate in what you're doing, you're most likely to be more motivated than those people who are working for that thing. So we also need to know our limits, because sometimes there are things that we don't really enjoy doing, but we get influenced by friends and or kind of like peer pressure in front of a group that makes you say like, yeah, I'll do it. But knowing our limits is really, really important. There are some times where there could be a stretch where you can really feel uncomfortable. Notice the signs when you feel that you're uncomfortable. So sometimes, even like we say, oh yeah, I know what I like, what else my strength is. And then you start to take more and more and more and more. And then suddenly you become too overwhelmed and you get burnout. So notice what your limits are is very important. Finally, doing what matters to you most. It is always very important to know that if you really know what you really, really matter to you, you can do a better job in what you are working at. I'm going to give you a few examples of the community members. So this is Christian, and some of you might know him and some of the events. In Indonesia, perhaps not. So he is from Chile, and he moved to Germany a few years back. Christian started with the community when he discovered Python Docs Espanol initiative because of a friend. And he was motivated to just translate one single file from the C API. And because of that, why? Because it was a topic that it's related to his job. But after he contributed, he really enjoyed the community and he really enjoyed the environment. So he started to work more. He started to translate more and he started to help other people and he developed more and more complementary solutions. So projects like Telegram bot, GitHub webhooks, and even documentation on getting started in contribution page. So he's doing things that matter to him most. And this is Jessica. She was one of our invitees in Pycon series. We have a podcast that Marietta, Chuck, me, and Teresa created to highlight underrepresented groups. And Jessica was one of them. She is a blind student who codes for passion, and she works on multiple projects. And while she was working on multiple projects, she's really interested and she contributes a lot to PyPandoc. And while she's contributing to PyPandoc, she realized that there's a problem. my PRs are not looked at. Then she went to check and realized what happened. The maintainers were too busy. To solve the problem, she volunteered herself. And now she is one of the maintainers for PyPandoc. So you see, it doesn't matter what you're interested in. The most important thing is that you have to do things that matter to you most first, so you have the motivation to go on. Sometimes you might lead a community after you join. Sometimes you might not even know that you're actually leading a community. Sometimes you might not always find the community that fits you. And this is where you have to start one yourself. Now, starting a community, again, brings back to the point of knowing yourself, because you need to know specifically what interests you so you can help, because that will be your expertise, right? So the community should allow you to be who you are, share similar comfort zone, and speak to you. So one great example among our community here is Jay Miller. Jay started attending Pycon US 2022, and that was his first Pycon US. And he was quite surprised when he could actually literally count the number of Black developers attending the event, less than 0.01%. Is that the actual number of Black developers? Not really. And that was why he started Black Python Devs. When you cannot find one that is available, create one. You know the best, what is needed to bring this group of people together, to make them feel comfortable, to make them feel safe. Another example is PyLadies Con. So Denis in the middle there and Christian and Marietta actually came out with this idea to come out with PyLadies Con. The reason why we actually created PyLadies Con was because people have been complaining, saying that they couldn't find enough female speakers. You know what? We said, we are going to prove to them that this is not true. So last year, 2023, we have 183 proposals. And this year, 2024, we have 193 proposals. We couldn't even accept all. We could only accept 100% female speakers. Why? Why are these people not coming out for other events? Reason being, PyLadies can't provide a safe comfort zone for them. They feel that they could be connected. The platform allows them to speak to them, allows them to feel confident to speak and not being judged by people so-called not sufficient in the knowledge. So leading members in the community is a challenge. And I'm sure a lot of you feel that too. Leading a team at work is very challenging. Leading a team of volunteers who's not getting money, who you are not a boss, is even worse. The moment you decided to lead a community, you need to know first, it's no longer talking about me. It's talking about we. The we will be the part where you no longer think of what I would want, but what we will want to make it work for everyone among the community. Now, people often underestimate the power of the usage of pronouns. The pronouns we use can be a powerful window into the way we think, the way we lead, and the way we think about others. So Penn Baker in 2011 wrote this book, The Secret Life of Pronouns, and he mentioned that the increase of we words actually indicates a greater focus in community. So if you actually use more we, I, when you speak, it refers that you are talking more about yourself. However, when you use the word we, using the same context, people feel that the speaker is talking to the person and they are related to each other. So let me give you an example, like two different things. If I say, I want to use this idea because it will make the project run more efficiently, versus I say, we could use this idea so that our project can run more efficiently. It's the same context, but suddenly you feel like I'm part of that in the second one because I said we. Also, like for example, if you want to convince a volunteer to join the community, you can say, oh, hey, Mas, you can come over and work for me. I need you to run this section because you are an expert, yeah? I like it, so come and join me. However, if you actually change it and say, oh, you have to join us. We all need you because you're so good. You're a specialist in that part. Suddenly, what happened is that, oh, I'm actually more needed in a huge group than just one person. So think about the usage of pronouns. So a strong community needs to have a sense of community. This paper is written by clinical psychologist David Macmillan and another community psychology, David Chavez. Bonding begins with the discovery of similarities. It's a feeling that people have a sense of belonging, the feeling that members matter to one another and to the group. Actually, you don't have to be a psychologist to know that. Every one of us here has been a new member before. You have to start somewhere. And if you're a new member to a community and someone actually remembers your name and what you do, suddenly you feel more connected. You feel like, oh, he knows my name and he knows what I do. The connection starts building in. There are four main elements in the sense of community: membership, influence, integration and fulfillment of needs, and shared emotional connection. So membership refers to the feeling that we are invested in part of one another, and everyone has the right to belong. The moment you actually spend more time and work into something, you feel that you're part of it. However, membership has boundaries. This means that people who will feel that they will actually belong to the group or they don't. I mean, if you are talking about some other language, then Python, you might feel left out. Or if I put you in a Python Espanol group and you don't speak Spanish, you won't feel comfortable. So there is a reason why boundaries are built. It is to protect our personal space. And sometimes these boundaries can actually cause harm because it comes from pain of rejection or isolation. It happens often when the member is somewhere in between the boundary, like, oh, I don't feel really here or there. Where should I be? And that is the part where they feel rejected. But it is very important that we continue to clarify until we understand clearly the positive benefits that we give to the communities. So another part that's very important that is in membership, it's emotional safety. Emotional safety refers to the point where people who join you feel safe expressing their emotions, feel confident, and they're willing to take risks. Members who are feeling really safe emotionally, they will naturally feel more confident speaking to you, especially as a leader. So you can see having code of conduct is one of the example why it's very important for it. As you can see just now in Google research there, some people didn't even want to join or contribute if there's no code of conduct. In emotional safety, there are also psychological safety. This is a shared belief that's held by members that it's okay to take risks. It is okay to make mistakes. It is okay to learn. It doesn't mean that we have to be like, wow, kawan-kawan, and always be nice to everyone, but it just means that you have to make people feel comfortable to say no against something that someone suggested, but in a positive way that won't hurt the rest of the members. So how do we practice psychological safety? Number one, recognize diverse contribution. Recognizing that diverse contributions creates a sense of belonging and collaboration everywhere in nature. Communities of individuals live and support each other because we're different. Even in Indonesia, when you look around, there's so many language and so many different type of religion, but you're living together and it works. So recognizing diverse contributions is very, very important. Leading by example. As a leader, if you make yourself lead and follow and show others how you also you are also a human, that you make mistakes. And people say, oh, if the leader feel that he can make mistake, I can make mistake too. That's fine. And the whole idea is not about learning, it's to learn through failures and to understand how it can be better next time. Facilitate people to speak up. Sometimes as a leader, you are so excited, you have so many ideas, you want to say everything. You say, I got this, I got this, I got this. But no, sometimes we need to allow the members to speak. And by creating or setting a meeting, be the one to speak more, but your question is to get people to speak. And that is the key. Provide support and resources. So here it's actually really important. Resources as if like documentation, resources that will like support on trainings. So as a new member, they will get lost if there's no documentation. And if you are being asked about like written support and resources and you don't know where to look for, it's also hard for you yourself as a leader to get reference. So getting proper support and reference resources is extremely, extremely important. Addressing conflicts and feedback constructively. The importance of addressing issues promptly and professionally is very crucial. You need to be conscious of the people related to the conflict and also the community who will be affected by the conflict. We can never please everyone, especially when a community grows larger. Though you have to run through everything in thorough details on the background, the culture, and the sense of community that is built. There is no perfect solution when it comes to solving conflicts. But the best way you can do is to decide a better solution where you can do to help the community to solve it. That's the best you can go. Accept mistakes happen, like what I mentioned just now, and create a space for new ideas. And finally, the most important thing, recognize and celebrate contributions. Recognize and celebrate contributions is one of the most important drives to contributor. According to Maslow's pyramid of needs, humans have basic needs: physiological, safety, love and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. What do you mean by self-actualization? It's so long. I don't even understand what it means. So let me explain to you what it means in a simpler solution. It means that you actually accept yourself, you accept the others, and you accept your surrounding nature. So when you actually accept yourself and everything around you, you are not ashamed, you are not guilty, you are not worried that what you did, what you done, or whether your weaknesses are, it's fine. You accept who you are. Even if a person has food or money and home, not having self-actualization can cause depression. And providing recognition and celebrate contribution actually helps self-actualization. It is not just a feel-good factor. It allows us to feel valued and feel connected. Contributions come in all shapes and sizes. It comes in code, it comes in documentation, it comes in teaching, it comes in community engagement, and even triaging. But the spotlight is often only in the contribution directly related to code. You know what? The open source community isn't just green spaces, green squares. It's a lot more than just code. To sustain this community, we need to recognize and celebrate contributions. It also helps more contributions when you actually celebrate about the great things that everyone has done, no matter how big or small they are. Fostering a sense of sense of belonging and appreciation within the team. And because we are leaders, sometimes we get tired and we get burned out because we're just happy that our project is done or our event is finished. So we might be tired and we just give up and we just stop saying thank you. The simple word, thank you. Here are some powerful Pythonistas who celebrate their wins regularly, no matter big or small. So you can see, you can do avatars, like Kojo actually sometimes do double wins. And Chuck actually helped creating the PyLadies Award. PSF giving Community Service Award, or Pycon India saying thank you, sharing the faces of all the volunteers, or even Carol Wheeling mentioning Abigail's name on the stage. It's such a great impact that even Abigail felt so proud that she even thanked Carol and say that she is such a great force to the community. Or Marietta showing faces of the photo. It's a simple selfie of people, the more female core developers during the sprint. It might look like a simple selfie post, right? But according to studies, seeing members that look like you makes them feel more confident, makes them feel that the next time I can do that too. So you don't have to post any social media if it's not your thing, You can also create a participation certificate at a gong during sprints and ask the contribution to hit the gong if the PR is merged, or celebrate the way that you feel your volunteers will appreciate. So the second element is influence. Influence means the way we influence each other. You have your leader and the community. You might think that the leader is the one who needs to influence the others, but actually it's a bi-directional concept. The members are the ones who need to influence everyone too. The cohesiveness of the community is the key. If a leader resists to the community's influence and try to dominate the community, the leader actually turned out to be less influential. However, study shows that people who are more likely to choose a leader who listens and a leader who is more influenceable and those who are willing to change. The power tool here is listen. Listening to a community makes a real leader. Listen to what is needed when leading a conversation. As a leader, encourage the others to talk rather than you yourself talking. So just a little clue what's going to happen soon in Pycon US 2025. So I was working on Pycon US 2025 theme with the new lead, and we were studying about Mr. Roger, who comes from Pittsburgh. And then we start to learn about Tom Hanks, who is trying to portray Mr. Roger in the movie. And then Tom Hanks was talking about this term that Mr. Rogers used a lot. Wait. Why am I talking? This wait chart tells you to think when you should be talking instead of letting the others talk. Give the chance for the other members to talk rather than yourself. You can use this process to go through to see whether it's really your turn to talk. Even if you are just a member, it works too. The third element will be integration and fulfillment of needs. Translating in terms, again, it's too long and too complicated. It just means reinforcement. That means you must provide and make it clear that there is a sense of community in the way you lead. The primary function of a community is fulfillment. Rewards, like what we mentioned just now, they are great reinforcer for communities. A strong community is able to fit together different kind of people to meet their needs. Everyone is different here. if everyone is the same, then we don't need each other. That's the reason why we have to be together. Instead of finding what's wrong within your community, find out what's strong first. It's so easy to complain, to say who's doing wrong and who's not good enough, or your community is not strong enough. So Cormac Russell, this man actually works for a community and a developer for different village. He come up with this sentence: what's wrong to what's strong. So stop thinking of what is wrong with the community, because there are a lot of strengths around there first. Work within what the strength of each one of you are and start to grow from there. You don't need a lot of money to run. Start from what you have first. Finally, the last one was emotional connection. Now, emotional connection means we have shared history. When you can actually share what you learn, what you've been through, and your experience with the people, you get more connection. So if you, like for example here, the first time if I'm meeting you, I don't know you well enough. But however, over time, if we start to talk to each other and get to know each other better, we become a community, and we come to share why we like specific things together. And that kind of connection is really, really important. The more people interact, the more likely they become close. The fifth element is, no, there's no fifth element. I'm joking. Well, so working with the Python community is incredible. No matter which part of the community you are leading, do what matters to you most. Whether it's code-related, documentation, education, contents creation, events, just do things that make you feel better and makes you feel that it's important to you. Everyone has their own difference. So here I'm going to give you a testimonial that is collected by a group of people around the world that I've been doing videos here and there and compiled together from people from the Python community, why they like the community. Okay, hang on, let me just press this little thing. Oh.
People, it's the people of Python community who give you that warmth. Python meetups and conferences are I think they are my savior.
I've been participating in some of the conferences that are local, like PyCascades and Puppy, which is the Puget Sound programming Python group. And I had the privilege just a couple of months ago of giving one of the lightning talks. And I was really surprised and really touched by the response and how well it was received. And the great thing about that was being able to help new people to Python, of course, myself included, feel more welcomed into the Python community.
I went to a PyLadies event in Vancouver. The vibe was completely different from any other programming meetup I'd ever been to. I did not feel like I was being tested or anything like that. And even though I felt very new, people were just saying like, yeah, just make a 5-minute talk about whatever you're learning and come back. I'm like, what is this strange place I have landed in? But it was really nice.
After seeing a post for a call for proposals, I didn't know anything about PyCon US or any other conference for that matter. I was just learning PyCon on my own, just kind of isolated. And I thought, whoa, there's an actual conference where other people like me go and hang out. I submitted a proposal, it got accepted, and I was extremely excited to go because up to that point, I had never really met other Pythonistas before. And when I was there, I just had such an incredible time. I thought to myself, I don't think I can miss this again.
Python community is really where I started my whole journey. Engagement. I remember I just joined the Python Tech Conference because I love programming in Python. I wanted to learn more, and I found out that they were having lightning talks, and so I decided, you know what, why not? And even though I was only around perhaps 10 years old or something like that at the time, they were all very supportive of me. I was so nervous to be speaking in front
was in Thailand, most of the time, I'm either, if I'm lucky, I will have another friend, another female developer in the meetup. Otherwise, I'm always the only one. Or sometimes, if very, very lucky, three. So it doesn't feel good. I have to admit that it doesn't feel good. And even in spite me being there as one of them, sometimes I do have difficulty because they are people who are not confident enough to join. So you have to take that extra step. It's not only telling yourself like, oh, I don't know where to start. They don't come to me. Go to them. Go to them and literally invite them. Invite them to join for a talk. Whatever subject that is comfortable, ask the female speaker, for example, like, are you okay with a Q&A? If they say that they're not comfortable with Q&A, skip it. Skip the Q&A. Let them talk. At least when there's a first time, then there will be a second time, and there'll be more. So it always have to start first when you take the first step to reach out to those people. Does that answer your question?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Anyone, it's fine.
Okay, my name is James.
Hi,
It's too loud
James.
for me. You know me.
Yep.
I think I'm not going to ask any questions, but rather I'll make a comment or reflection of what you have talked today. Sorry, not thought. What I have in mind right now is that based on my experience of vetting over the Pycon US CFP last year, and perhaps other Pycons, I find that the talks that relates to community are quite small and always in the range of less than 1%. And fortunately, right now in this time, I'm quite happy that Pycon Indonesia over here, or Pycon APAC, has far more community talks. So I think as a reflection on that, I think perhaps that should be maybe a reflection for all of us as a Python organizers, that we should have a place for community talks, be anything, including celebrations, talks, or how we manage the events, as well as mistakes that perhaps that we have made during the talk, rather than, technical talks all the time. LLM, sorry for making that. But I think we should have a safe place for community as a track, maybe in Pycon going forward. So probably that will be my comment on that, or reflection over on your talk today.
Yeah, I actually do agree with you, like I've mentioned. And actually, I'm not the part of the community managing the program for Pycon US. However, what I understood is that there are more than enough talks that was given. The challenge is extremely high. The challenge is extremely high when it comes to coming down and filtering the best talks. I agree that there isn't that many talks related to the community. However, that was why they created a new one in the Pycon called the Community Leader Summit. So that Community Leader Summit is actually used to provide more channels for people who are interested to work on the core of the communities instead of the main language. So there will be talks related to the community, and supplementary of that, you have the Community Summit. So that is the one that they created, and I'm really glad that they started that. So it's the same as like the language summit and the documentation summit. That's just way too much content in the Python community. That's why being like one of the top Pycon in the world for Pycon US, they need to accommodate to everyone. So the only solution they came out with is decentralized summits everywhere. Yeah. There's another one behind. Yeah, go ahead. Do you have the mic?
Let me introduce myself. My name is Sabna Rohim. I am lead to Tangerang Python group Telegram because constantly in Indonesia there are several intercity Python. Example Surabaya Pi, Python Edu Jogja, Bandung Pi, Lombok Pi, Tangerang Pi. My dear friend can join to the Telegram Python Tangerang Python Telegram group Tangerang Python come join us. My question, how to keep the community going forever and how to attract to public because to my community Telegram Tangerang Python. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. So there is actually a very, that question relates to another talk previously in Pycon Taiwan that I did about. So some of us, usually when you start small, you feel like you don't have enough strength and you cannot share. The key to this is to combine together. Indonesia is so huge. You have Yogyakarta, you have Jakarta, you have Palembang, you have so many different regions. Create a website, combine every event that comes together and join forces. So Pycon Indonesia organizers, maybe you can come up with this idea to help, because I think that is the solution. In Brazil, they did that for PyLadies because they have like over 33 chapters there. So it was impossible, but because they have that, everyone knows where to go to find the events. They know where to go, like, oh, okay, maybe I go jalan-jalan in Palembang or somewhere else, and then I just check, okay, is there any events going on there? There's a way to find it. So if there is a main stage, it's much easier. Not many people can just go search everywhere, Facebook and then Instagram and then everywhere. It's too much. Centralize everything between Indonesia and that'll be the solution.
Thank you. Please support to the intercity community in Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tangerang Python.
Thank you. And maybe that is our last question.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you very much, Miss Georgica. Okay, please give your applause. Ladies and gentlemen.